All right, I'm back again. This time I'm doing the top 8 cards, or my top 8 cards from Innistrad Crimson Vow. I'll just do a quick disclaimer. This is my favorite cards, or cards that I'm looking forward to building with. Not necessarily the most powerful, although there is, of course, some overlap. The number 8 card I have is Voice of the Blessed, the new and improved Johnny's Pridemate. 2 white, well, rather I'll say white for a Spirit Cleric 2/2. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Voice of the Blessed, just like a Johnny's Pridemate, and then 2 additional abilities. As long as Voice of the Blessed has 4 or more 1/1 counters on it, it has Flying and Vigilance, and if it has 10 or more counters on it, it has Indestructible. So this is another payoff for the Soul Sisters deck. I think it's a pretty good payoff at that, and I think it might have a spot in the Spirits deck too. I'm working on a Spirits deck. We'll see if it gets cut or not, but it's pretty good body, and I think definitely, yeah, it has that potential to just go wild. And it's better, obviously it's better than a Johnny's Primate, but the problem you have with Johnny's Primate is it has no evasion, and this gains flying rather quickly, just 4 instances of life gain. So I like Voice of the Blessed a lot. Number 7, I have Inspired Idea, 2 colorless and a blue for a sorcery. Has one of the new ability or mechanics in the set, which is Cleave, for 3 and 2 blue. You may cast a spell for its Cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in square brackets. I'm probably going to be casting this without paying the Cleave cost, so the full text will be: draw 3 cards. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 3 for the rest of the game. If you do pay the Cleave, it's just Ancestral Recall, draw 3 cards. I think the types of decks that are looking to play this card are the ones that just want to draw 3. They don't care about the maximum hand size because their hands empty. They're playing a tempo game, just some early creatures, bounce spells, things like that empties their hand, and this is just a easy refill. I think that's where this fits. They're also, I've been like kind of tinkering around or thinking about decks that play Hive Mind and like try and copy the spell to make everybody hellbent for the rest of the game. I will not say it's great, but I think that has some fun potential as well. So, Inspired Idea, number 7. I have Demonic Bargain at number 6, 2 colorless and a black for a sorcery. Exile the top 13 cards of your library, then search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. I think this certainly has a spot in the density-based combo decks, like Reanimator, where, you have a creature in your yard already, let's find some reanimation spell. Or the reverse, I have the reanimation spell, I just need some sort of entomb ability. I think that's where Demonic Bargain's really good in those density-based combo decks. I think it might have a spot in A+B combo decks, like Painter's Servant or something, where the risk of your main card or your combo card being in the top 13 is worth it for the power. I certainly think this has a spot somewhere, so building with it should be interesting. Demonic Bargain I have at number 6. Very cool card. Sigardian Paladin I have at number 5. 2 colorless, a blue and a white. A green and a white. For a Human Knight 4/4. As long as you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature this turn, Sigardian Paladin has Trample and Lifelink. And then a colorless, green, and a white. Target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it gains Trample and Lifelink until end of turn. I've been working on an Abzan counters deck as well, and I think this card might fit in there. On its own, it's not very impressive, right? It's a 4-mana 4/4 that cares about other creatures entering encounters, so you have to cast a card or put a counter on the turn you're wanting to attack with this guy. But the nice ability here, this sort of armadillo cloak ability, is pretty good. So we'll see where it ends up. I think it's interesting enough, but it's also, pretty narrow. It's definitely only in the counters deck. Number 4, I have Cobbled Lancer, a 1 mana for a blue zombie horse for a 3/3. As an additional cost to cast a spell, exile a creature card from your graveyard. As well, 3 colorless and a blue, exile Cobbled Lancer from your graveyard, draw a card. I think this card is great. The additional cost to cast, exile a creature, has been shown on a couple cards before, also from Innistrad block, and those don't see play, or they see some play, but a little bit less. I think the cost of just simply 1 blue and 1 creature card is perfect. I really want to put this in a dredge deck that I've been working on, because both modes are good there. You either get a very cheap threat, or you get some card that later, hey, I just want to draw another card, dredge something else. Cobbled Lancer, I think, certainly fits there, and it might even fit in the zombie deck. It's not your turn 1 zombie, because you need to exile that creature card, but as a top deck, on turn 3 or something, you've already thrown some guys into the zone. Cobbled Lancer could fit in the zombie deck as well. Thirst for Discovery I have at number 3. This card I think is a pretty cool card. Just like Thirst for Knowledge, it says draw 3 cards and then discard 2 cards unless you discard a basic land card. So Thirst for Knowledge, cares about artifacts. There's Thirst for... there's another one that cares about enchantments. I think Thirst for Discovery is the best because the types of decks that I'm playing this in, some control decks, are just looking, hey, I already play a lot of basic lands. It's a lot easier to discard a basic land card than it is for those decks to discard enchantments or artifacts. So Thirst for Discovery, I'm definitely going to be playing this card in my control decks. I think it's really good as this instant draw 3. In number 2, I have Nature's Embrace. This is an aura for 2 colorless and a green, enchanted creature or a land. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+2. As long as enchanted permanent is a land, it has add 2 mana of any one color. So this deck is going to be kind of in or this card I guess would most likely go in the aggro Enchantress deck. I think it has a lot of potential there because it does either mode, right? It's either giving you mana or pumping you dude. And I don't know. I wouldn't put Dryad Arbor in the deck, but I think the fact that I could put this on a Dryad Arbor and have a 3/3 that adds 2 mana, slightly hilarious. More realistically, I do think it does fit in that deck as, an enchantment, pumps your dudes, or gives you mana. It's pretty much everything you want. Now, the number 1 card, I'll let you guys think about it for a little second before I flip to it. I'm really excited for this card. If you can guess this card, put it in the comments below. I'm also curious what your number 1 card is. Is it the same as mine or is it something else? My number 1 card is Dread Fugue. 1 black for a sorcery. Has the new mechanic Cleave for 2 colorless and a black. And it says target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it, start brackets, with mana value 2 or less, and brackets. That player discards this card. So for 1 mana, you are casting a somewhat powered down Inquisition of Kozilek. 1 mana, anything 2 or less, you can take from their hand. That's a non-land. And I see a lot of scenarios with this card where, obviously early, it's going to be very good, because everybody plays 1s and 2s, some play 0s. You can take a Mox with this. This just adds to the density of the discard spells that we have, which the trifecta, right? Duress, Inquisition of Kozilek, and Thoughtseize is now, I don't know what they call it, quadfecta, but this is the fourth card I'm going to be putting in any of those decks that are also discarding or are focused on that early discard to maybe combo off. I think the late game effect of, well, okay, maybe I draw this on turn 4 or even turn 3 or whatever, and then deciding, okay, I want to actually get a card that costs 3, or I want to get a force of will out of them. Paying it for 3 is not the worst, for sure. It's not great, obviously. You'd rather pay 1, but sometimes you can't do that. And I think the cases where there's that overlap, or like where your Inquisition of Kozilek is dead, Dread Fugue isn't, because you have the ability to pay for that cleave cost. So I really love this card design. I think it's very cool, and I'm certainly going to get copies for my decks. I am curious if you guys got Dread Fugue as my top card. I want to know what yours are, or if you think I'm overrating this card, or maybe even underrating this card. Maybe I should play this over Inquisition of Kozilek in some decks, huh? I don't know. I don't think so, but yeah, let me know in the comments below. I'm excited about these cards in this set, and obviously some other cards. I didn't get to all the cards, but yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. So we'll see what I can build with these new cards. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.